Hello everybody, this is Max here. Going to go over a little tutorial on how to set up a web server with AWS. Assuming you already have a student account with AWS, um, that will allow you about $100 in free credits to play around and learn stuff. If you took System Admin, you should have that. Um, you can make a different video going over how to get that set up, but it kind of takes away from the point of this. So we'll just assume you already have your student account set up with AWS. We'll be using that. A couple other tools we'll need: FileZilla, Putty, and that should be it. So we'll just go ahead and get right to it. Right here on our AWS dashboard, there's one service in particular that we're going to need. The only one that we need to actually do what we're going to be doing today is the EC2 applet in AWS. So we'll go ahead and open that up. From there, we'll go ahead and click on Instances. Every time you turn your AWS service on, it goes ahead and starts booting up every service that you've already had. So we're going to just turn all those off so we save money. Let's stop, not terminate, otherwise it deletes them all. Give that a little refresh. All right, and to launch a new instance, we'll go over here and click Launch Instances. This brings you to the form to fill out the new web server. We'll go ahead and call this one AWS Tutorial. Why is it not like that? It might be because I already have one named that. Let's try my tutorial. From there, virtual machine I've got the most experience with and that I've found works is the most simple um, is Ubuntu. There's a ton of different, you can use Windows, Mac. There's all kinds of variations of Linux machines that you could probably get the same result with, but we're just going to stick with Ubuntu because that's what I have the most familiarity with. From here, there's all kinds of different variations of Ubuntu. We'll stick with a free tier eligible Ubuntu server 22.04 LTS. We don't need to change anything with the architecture, it's fine just as it is. The instance type, this is kind of on Amazon side, the kind of machine that it'll be running on. The T2 Micro has plenty of as much performance as we'll need for what we're doing, and it's also free, so that's always good. The next thing we'll look at is our key pair login. You can reuse other ones, but we'll go ahead and just create a new key pair. And we'll call this one my tutorial, just to keep the naming convention similar. And it'll be an RSA key pair type, and we'll use PPK since we're working with Putty. If you're working with other stuff, you can use .pim, but Putty, you need to use the PPK one. We'll go ahead and click Create Key Pair. That'll put it up here for us. Minimize this real quick. And I keep a folder on my home page called Keys. There's probably better security practices, but for ease of use and where we're not really using any sensitive applications, it's fine. Next, we'll go down to our network settings. And we'll go ahead and just create a new security group. The main things is that we want to allow all this type of traffic. We need to allow SSH traffic because we need to make a few changes to the server once we get it up and running. And you could turn HTTPS off if you wanted to, but it's not going to hurt anything to leave it on. And we want to make sure we have HTTP traffic on so we can actually visit the website. This little part right here allows it from any IP address. And as far as configuring storage, we can leave that all default. So next we'll go ahead and click Launch Instance. It'll take a little while to get going. One of the things I like about Azure as opposed to AWS is the boot times do seem significantly quicker, but that would be a different video. So we'll go back to our EC2 homepage here. instances. Look at that again. So it'll take it a minute to actually get up and running. In the meantime, go ahead and show you FileZilla here. FileZilla, you've probably used it before in Intro to Web or other courses. You can do everything that FileZilla does through the command line, but I like the GUI. I think it makes it a little bit easier. It gives you a good visual representation of what's going on, what's what. Everything on the left here is going to be your local machine, and everything on the right will be the server that you're connected to. So essentially all you have to do is drag and drop to move files. Let's see how we're doing here. Alright, so we're running. Still initializing. I don't like to log in until that is finished. I think you can, but it can give you some errors. So we'll just give that a couple more minutes while we do that. One important thing here is this IP address right here, our public IP. We're going to go ahead and copy that because we're going to be using that here in just a minute. We'll go ahead and boot up, bring up PuTTY here because it takes a second to get everything in it going here. I'm going to go ahead and paste our IP address here. We want port 22 because we're doing an SSH connection. We don't need to do anything with that. But we do need to come down here to connection real quick. I always turn this to 120 because I was told that that will log you out if you leave it at 0. I'm not sure the exact particulars behind how that the keep alive seconds works, but I always by default put it at 120. We'll go down to SSH, open that up, off, open that up, and credentials. This right here allows us to use our private key that we just generated. We'll go ahead and click open. It's my tutorial. Now let's go back to our session page. Let's see how Amazon's doing here. Still initializing. Okay. Let me go ahead and show you this real quick. This is just the files we'll be uploading. It's a very basic HTML page with some JavaScript to reference to play Snake. I had this saved from earlier in the semester when we were just working on our MVP stage just to make sure we had a working project in case anything didn't work out. So let's see here. Go ahead and refresh that. See, if this was Microsoft, you would already be up and running. Another good thing about Azure, and I can make another video on it too, because it's good to know how to use it too. It's very similar, but Azure, I guess Amazon does too. I've never actually used it, but it has a built-in Cloud Shell, and I really like that feature. That way you don't have to use PuTTY. You can just log in straight through the one application. But since we've already got PuTTY up and ready to go here, we'll just wait on it. Okay, so we've got our 2 of 2 status checks passed. Looks like we're ready to log in. So we'll go ahead and just hit open and accept. And the default username on all Ubuntu machines is Ubuntu. And we're logged in. So we are on the server now. A couple things you want to do real quick before we get started is we'll hit sudo apt update. That just updates our server with the latest, make sure we're up to date essentially with all the stuff Ubuntu needs to run. We'll give that a minute here. It's usually pretty quick. And then we'll go ahead and sudo apt upgrade. And that installs all those. And we'll just give that a minute. The next thing we're going to want to do after this is all done is install Apache. Apache is the program that takes responsibility for hosting our web server, makes a lot of things easy. So once this gets done, we'll install Apache. And we're getting there. It might want us to reboot here. If it does, I'll just cut that part out and start fresh. But I think we might be able to get away without rebooting. And yeah, we might have to restart. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. Okay. So next we'll hit sudo apt install Apache 2. Yes, we want to continue. All right. So here we go. One more thing before we can actually run our web server on this Ubuntu machine is we got to change some permissions real quick. So what we're going to do is hit sudo chmod 755, and we're going to do it on /var/www/html. And this HTML file within www is what is it's actually going to be the location of where we put all of our files, so it allows it to actually run on the server. So we'll hit that, and that's all it takes. So we've got that going. We're pretty much done with PuTTY now, so we can minimize that. What we'll do next, pull up FileZilla, and we'll have to create a new connection to it. So we're still going to be using the same protocol, SSH. Put our IP address right there, and for login type, we will hit key file user Ubuntu, and for the actual key pair, we'll use the same one we used earlier, which is my tutorial. Open that up and hit connect, and it'll give you updates right here. And as you can see, I still have the kind of a similar view when you hit LL in Ubuntu. You can see all these files right here. Now the file that we're going to need to go to, hit there, hit that one more time, and scroll to the very bottom. And we got var, www, and HTML. And it comes with a default template. Let me go ahead and show you what that looks like real quick. Anytime you start a new one, this is just Apache's default HTML page. So if you want to make sure Apache's installed and working, you can always just go to the IP address that you're working with, and you should see that once you've got it installed. So what we want to do is just delete that, because we don't need that anymore. So we'll hit delete, and yes, we really want to delete it. Actually, I might need to change the permissions again. Hold on one second. All right, so what had happened there is I didn't have permission to delete the file from here, and that's because what's the security thing? You really don't want to do this if you can help it, but sometimes you have to for just a minute. We'll go back and change it. Sudo chmod 777 gives read, write, execute permissions to everybody. So it's a security thing. So what we'll do after it'll allow me to delete it once I ran that, but we'll go ahead and sudo chmod 755 /var/www/html. Change that back. But all right, so now we have our empty directory on the server side, and what we want to do is upload what we want on our website. So we'll just highlight both of those, drag and drop. And okay, it's because we haven't set the permissions to do that. Well, we'll go back and just do the same thing real quick here. We'll chmod 777 it again. But it's a good thing to not leave that as your default settings. So let's try that one more time. There we go. So we'll hit refresh here, and we have Snake. All right. So that's how you set it up. Like I was saying, I'm going to go back and change those permissions to that file and that directory real quick, just because it leaves it vulnerable for other malicious users to do as they please. So went back and did that. Anytime you want to change the content of here, so say you have a new main branch with new commits and features, you'll just go to GitHub, download those. You can, I find it easiest just to drag and drop them to your main page here, and from there you'll just delete whatever's in the current server, throw those out, and drag and highlight all of the new files that you want to bring over, and drop them in here. And that's it. Always want to make sure whenever you're done using your server to turn it off, just to save a little money. As you can see here, I'm on $95.10 out of 100. I've used it fairly extensively outside of class, so I've racked up quite a bit, but I might have used this cent during this whole time kind of playing with this tutorial here, so your money does go a pretty long way. So, but that's it. If you have any questions, let me know, and if you'd like a video on how to do it with Azure, I might have that coming soon if you'd like to see that as well. Thank you.